Hey there, it's Jim, the lone wolf from Paranormal Fellowship. I've had some people lately were asking me how they could join and become a member. I don't do members. This is just a group where I can, in all honesty, I'm not getting any younger, so I can put my memories up here and I have a place to look at them once I go crazy and dementia or Alzheimer's as I get older. Um, Sorry, someone's coming. I'm just at a public park. But unlike everyone else you see on YouTube or podcasts or on TikTok or wherever, everyone's always telling stories about something someone told them, or this person called in and they told them their story. These are all actual encounters that have happened to me over the years. Again, I've been in the different paranormal fields since the late 80s, beginning of the early 90s. Now, this encounter I'm going to let you know is one that happened to me towards the beginning. This was probably back in the beginning of the 90s. And I was more into the ghost hunting than anything else back then because I had experiences myself that I was trying to get the answers to. And I joined up with this group. The group's long since defunct. I'm still friends with some of the members, but most of them, everyone's gone on their own ways. Again, the problem with groups is someone wants to become rich and famous, someone wants to be in charge, someone wants to be the star, and you lose the whole focus of why you're doing this. Well, with this group at the time, we were still new and we were real enthusiastic, and we were more in for the actual, let's see if we can help, let's find out what's going on. And we had received a call from this couple from California. Yes, they were typical Californians, and they had come to the area because they had bought an old Elks Lodge in Newcastle, Pennsylvania for $1. One of the city things that they were going to do to try and revitalize the city. And they had plans to renovate this old 4-story Elks Lodge and turn it into like a bed and breakfast. And it was really cool because when this Elks Lodge was really up and running and well maintained, taken care of, the 4th floor, the top floor was, what do you call them? Where you go and I'm sorry, I'm having a brain cramp. You go and you sit in a room, and then up the ceiling is concaved, and it's all the different stars and star systems from all over all over the universe, all over the solar system. So most of that had, unfortunately, got roof damage, and some of it had collapsed in. It wasn't real safe up there, but it was still something to check out, even back in the day. So this couple was having a hard time trying to get this place renovated and fixed up. It seems like, when they would sit there and the workers would leave, they'd come in the next day and all their stuff was moved. It was like, and this is before power tools and power drills, and, before cordless power tools and cordless power drills, and everything still had to be plugged into the wall, and everything would be misplaced, or, they wouldn't be able to find it, or as they're working, the electric would come unplugged and they'd have to stop, or, the power would go out while they're working, they had no idea why, and there's just all kinds of classic, haunting stuff going on, where the ghosts don't want you to, go through and renovate or change their space. Well, one of the old, I guess, Elks members had came over and was talking to them to see what they were doing, and, they told them what their plans were, how they were going to renovate it, turn it into bed and breakfast. And he said, oh, there's a lot of people that really, really love this place. There was this rumor that there's one old guy really loved the place. And this is back in the late 30s and 40s, and this guy was a gangster. And I'm Italian, so I'm allowed to say this. This guy was an Italian gangster, mobster type thing. He always wore a real nice, suit, and he always had a Stetson on, in the shape of like a fedora, like an Indiana Jones type hat, for those of you that don't know what it is. And they had a speakeasy down in the basement. Real nice, had the bar, everything. And speakeasies were against the law, a lot of times they're in prohibition. So there were no outside windows or anything, so no one could peek in and see what's going on. And the story was that one day while he was sitting at the bar, drinking and having a good time with his friends, he had a massive heart attack and just died right there. Well, in his will, he'd put in his will that he wanted his funeral, his service, to be performed right down there in the speakeasy of the Elks Lodge. So they, had his service down there, and, everything went off smooth. Well, the story was that as as people would go in there, he would come in and, he would continue doing what he was doing. And if he didn't like what someone was doing, he would, do something to let them know. So when we were there, we were going around, we, hitting all the rooms and that, and myself and this friend of mine, Chris, we decided that we're going to go down in the basement. Not a lot of people have been down there because there was no electricity down there. And this was, summer, so it was hot and damp, and, you had that mold, musty smell down there. So we're doing our thing, and again, this is at the beginning. We're doing the stupid questions. Is there anyone here? If you're here, knock 3 times, all the stupid crap that, beginning, or people don't know what they're doing with the ghost hunting, those type of questions. And this was before K2 meters. This was before EMF meters. We were using a compass, one of the little handheld compasses, in order to find magnetic field fluctuations. And we used our hands to feel hot and cold spots, real scientific. But back then you didn't have all the gear you have now. And I had just bought a Sony digital still night shot camera. So this, just worked the same as their 8mm and high 8 camcorders did, except for it was just a digital shot. So you take a picture, move on, go to the next one. Take a picture, move on, go to the next one. So we're down in the basement, and we've been doing this for a while between the whole building, and Chris, leans back and squats down against one of the pillars in the basement. And I'm standing down from about 10 feet or so, and all of a sudden he goes, man, I just feel like something's grabbing my shoulder. So, what the hell, I take a picture, and said technology back in the early 90s was not the greatest. It's not like what we deal with now. So don't really see anything because the little viewfinder that you're checking the pictures out in is real small. And we go on and we finish our investigation. And I forgot to bring this point up. This California company decided that they were going to publish the ghost hunting findings in a magazine that they were presenting to try and get people to come to this bed and breakfast, this haunted bed and breakfast old Elks Lodge. So we leave for the night, not knowing, what we'd had or anything, got to check the voice recorders and got to check all the pictures I did with my my digital night shot camera versus the regular cameras, and, all the fun stuff that you do when you're ghost hunting. Well, I downloaded all those night shot still camera pictures onto my computer, and as I'm going through them, lo and behold, I get this picture. I'm going to break away to the picture now. In the picture, you see Chris kneeled up against the bar, the pillar bar, and you can see a shadow hat man on the back wall with his arm reaching out and grabbing Chris's shoulder. Him and I are the only two in this basement. There is no windows in this basement. There's no electricity running through the basement unless you bring down an extension cord and hook it up to something. I've got the only illumination in the room. I'm holding that still shot camera in front of me. So there's no way I can cast a shadow. There's no way that I can get the light behind me and shine it forward and go through. But there is a shadow wearing a fedora on the wall, reaching out and grabbing Chris's shoulder. And I'm just like, wow, this is amazing. I can't believe it. This is great. And the leader of the group emails me and says, we got to go to our findings. The California couple wants to see what we got, and they're going to go from there. So I'm like, okay, it sounds like a good idea. Let's go. And I said, I got a really cool picture. I said, you want me to email it to you? She's like, no, just bring it down, print it out and bring it with you, and we'll go over it then. I'm like, all right, that works for me. Excuse me. Didn't know then that, that was the one that wanted to be the star, wanted to be the one in charge. She didn't find it, so she wasn't that interested in it. So we get down there for the reveal to talk to this California company, and there is another ghost hunting group there. And we did our investigation on Saturday night. This group did theirs on Friday night. And I guess they must have been friends of this California couple, because they got like PowerPoints going, and they're talking about, oh, we captured this, and they're showing those pictures of dust orbs, and look at all the spirit orbs running around. They're going all over the place, and they're showing the 8mm, and they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna use this in our video, we're gonna put this in our magazine. And I'm just sitting there twiddling my thumbs, shaking my head, going, yeah, real cool, real cool. And then the leader of our group, she can't hold back no longer, and she starts, that stuff, what are you talking about? That's all crap. And she's going off on them, and this and that, and they started a nice little debate, let's put it that way, going back and forth. And so he finally looks and goes, well, what did your group catch? So I'm like, okay, can I show you what I caught? And they're like, sure, and everyone's, they're not expecting this guy to caught anything. So I break out the picture of this shadow man with the hat in the basement. The room went silent. Mouths were hanging open, where if these mosquitoes were there, they'd have been swallowing mosquitoes like crazy. They couldn't believe what we had, what I had caught, and in the basement, with that shadow man everywhere. Well, I know I've already made a long story, but to shorten it up here a little bit, they wanted me to sign away the rights to this picture so they could publish it in their magazine, and they can use it however they wanted to, but I had to give them the rights to it. Well, I just didn't want to give away the rights, so I never signed the release form to give them the rights. They published my picture anyways without giving me the credit for it, but that's all right. It's my picture. So just remember, go out there, use this. Don't do what everyone else does. I mean, y'all sitting there watching the TV shows, whether it's ghost hunting, Bigfoot, UFOs, and you say they don't know what they're doing. You do it better, and then you go out there and you do the exact same thing. Try something different. All right, I'm gonna wrap this up, and just please remember, this is for my memories, so that I have something when I become old and with Alzheimer's and dementia, I can look back at this and go, wow, that really was me. But please like this video, and please share. I'm not getting paid anything. I don't have near enough followers. It's just nice to see that someone else likes this stuff. Y'all have a good night. Ciao.